I hope everyone can hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Zana Burton and I'll be your anchor for today. Dev Rel, or you can say developer relation, is like a very new upcoming topic and it's like very unknown to a lot of people. So I hope all the beginners who are trying out DevRel or people who actually love to know about new things, they can gain a lot of knowledge with this webinar today. First of all, Sudhan's Tech welcomes all of you for this wonderful webinar. We really appreciate you taking some time of your busy schedule to attend this webinar and learn something exciting and new. Well, let's continue to keep the spirit high throughout this webinar and for the upcoming webinars just like this. Today's webinar is basically on the introduction to DevRel, developer relation, with none other than Yashovardhan Agrawal. He's the
Hello,
developer relation.
everyone.
So Yashovardhan is the developer relation manager at Rocket.Chat. And without further ado, Siddhant Sek welcomes Mrs. Yashovardhan Agrawal. The stage is all yours.
Thanks a lot, Zena, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Yash. Just call me Yash. That's good enough. I'm the developer relations manager at Rocket.Chat. Rocket.Chat is like a open source, totally open source company, similar to Slack or Discord, if you might have used that. So we are that kind of a company which is doing a different thing altogether in the world of open source. And I'm the developer relations manager, basically. So I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you the works I do, what are the different things it includes, everything about developer relations. Previously, I've worked for Major League Hacking. You might have attended a few hackathons. They conduct a lot of hackathons in India right now. So I was their manager for the Asia Pacific and the European region. And I briefly have like worked with GitHub Education team as well. I was hosting the Campus DevRel show. So if you might have seen me there, like hope to see you soon again. I'm looking to do another season of that. But if you are new, just feel free to ask me any questions. Just feel free to just ask me literally anything, whatever you want, any career advice, anything about where you ever you are. And I'm happy to see you all here as well. So, first of all, let's get pumped up. Let's have some emojis in the chat, please. Everyone, just throw me your favorite emoji. Let me find something on my own. Do I have one right now? I always had like a few emojis here. I'm streaming after a long time, so I don't have one. So I have this GitHub Campus Expert emoji right now with me. Otherwise, I have a minion as well, so that can be an emoji. But I was searching for my fire emoji. I love the fire emoji. If anybody has that, let's have the fire emoji or any other emoji. I see the good vibes emoji. That's good. Perfect. So where are you from? Like, I guess most of the people will be from India only and nearby countries, I guess. So let me know in the comments and we can definitely start accordingly. Oh, we have a fire emoji by Anmol. That's awesome. Cool. So coming to the topic of today, it's an introduction to developer relations, DevRel. So how many of you know something about it? Oh, okay, somebody is from Udhampur over here. Nice. So, how many of you know about community management, developer relations? Just a brief thing, like anything over the top. How many of you know about it? Like, let me know in the chat. So, if I talk about community, like it is a buzzword right now, right? So, how did it came to be? Like everyone, even the YouTubers, they call their whole followers a community now, right? Everybody calls whatever the people are on like online following them or something like that, they call themselves a community. Why? Because the simple definition of a community is people who are having a certain goal, a specific goal or specific interest, and are collaborating. Yes, exactly. Community means collaboration, learning, and helping people. That is one of the great definitions Ravi just mentioned. But if I think about it, it is a group of people who have like a common goal, common background or something, or common interest in general, and they try to get together to do something to learn something, to collaborate between each other. A political party is a community, a religion is a community, your family is kind of a community as well. Your blood related won't be called a community, but again, you all are connected with a particular goal in mind, right? So everything, the human society has always been revolving around the world community. We are people, we are social animals, so definitely we need some kind of a bonding with each other, and that is where the community thing came over. But if I talk about community as a marketing tool, it wasn't that famous as it has been recently, right? Like if I talk about the last 10 years or something, suddenly like community came over, everyone is talking about it. Why? So if I talk about that, we have had like mass media for a long time. We had TV, we had websites and everything. But when the social media came over, basically Web 1.0, so everything, and before social media, Web 1.0 or posters or anything like that, instead, even we had physical communities locally, but generally for mass communications, we had a one-way channel, not a two-way channel, right? That was Web 1.0. Now when social media came over, when everything like got involved, people can actually write their opinions, connect with people, make friends online, chat with famous celebrities online as well. That is when the world community came into place, right? So here, what was happening, I'll tell you. Web 2.0 came over, where input and output both can be done. People were sharing opinions. People were forming small groups. There are Facebook groups and everything out there. So people were forming that. And that's how it all started. The world became a huge community of its own, right? So when we have that context, now why are companies investing in it? Like can somebody tell me about it? Why are like companies investing so much for the community thing? Why are they actually making communities around their product? Developer relations is kind of community on the tech side only, somewhat, not exactly. A lot of things revolve in a different way, but it's similar to that. Tech community management is a part of developer relations as well, right? So why are they investing in it? Anybody? I'm looking at the chats right now. If anybody wants to talk about it, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to like take their questions. So in the meantime, I'll start. So if you see, like, if I talk about any pay-per-click thing, people are clicking on it. People might be converting as well, but you are not getting to know what their feelings are, right? What they actually want, right? So here, when you have a smaller group of people, you can actually tell them about a new release, about something, whatever they want to like experience with the product. They can tell you your opinions. You can tell them like what the company's goals are, and accordingly what will happen is in the long term you'll create people who will vouch for you, and the one-to-one communication that happens in this way is massive. Have you seen the Amway style of marketing? It's very famous, right? They don't do any kind of advertisement or anything, right? But they are a massive community, and they are one of the biggest companies out there because of this reason, because they focus on few people focus on another small group of people, and the chain goes on. This is something the tech is doing right now as well. So Ravi is asking, I need guidance. If you can guide me, I can definitely guide you, Ravi. Ask me any of your questions. Just make sure whatever you are asking, just it should be related to whatever your situation is, right? Feel free to ask me. So I get the question. Actually, I'm a 2021 graduate and right now doing job as a community manager. Also got the opportunity for MTech in Center University. Should I go or not? So again, it's a difficult thing. So I cannot actually tell you what to do with your career right now because this is your choice. If you want to do MTech, you have to see the prospects of where it is leading you to, right? If you want to do the job, you have to see the prospects of where the job is leading you. If see, if I am a BTech graduate, I can think about money as one of the motivating factors, right? People want to earn money. People want to become independent. That's good. That's good enough. If you want to do MTech, you have to choose wisely if it is adding to your career or not. What after MTech? Do you want to become a professor? Do you want to do a PhD? Do you want to research in some field? Do you want to do that? Do you not like the current community manager job? If you don't like it, then also you can think about the career switch, going into a university. If you are having money problems, if you want to do a job, that's also one of the reasons to stay in the job as well. If you see from where you are, you can transition without going into like the MTech career. Feel free to think about that as well. So you have to first of all make a chart of things what you want to do, what you have to do, and what you need to do, right? And accordingly see the pros and cons wherever it is leading you to, right? So as you are saying, I'm happy with the job, but also want to do a MTech for future perspective. Okay. So what kind of future perspective? Have you seen where is it leading you? The MTech is leading you. Are you sure you will be able to reach there if you do this MTech from this particular university? Or you want to do something in a foreign country? If you want to do something like MTech is good enough for you, or MBA is good enough for you, MSc, or whatever it is, have you thought about it? If you are happy with the job, that's good. If you want to do something different, think about it once. And if you want to do MTech, it's fine. First of all, see what particular future perspective you're talking towards. Okay. So next question from Indian Army. That's good. What's an interesting emerging trend occurring with developer platforms? Okay, this is a very very good question. So if I talk about emerging trends, there are a lot of different things that are happening. Definitely there's a buzzword about Web 3.0, right? I just talked about Web 1 and Web 2. Web 3 is basically giving the individuality back to the people, having control over our own things, the decentralization of everything, right? So using the blockchain technology as one thing. Everybody is talking about metaverse. Facebook is heavily investing. I guess Facebook will change their name this week as well, as the report suggests, to focus on the metaverse a bit more. So those are the things that are definitely going in the right trend. But if you see, it's just one aspect of the technology world. If you see the emerging trends, there are multiple things happening in the world of AI as well. If you see the open AI's, uh, what was the recent thing? I forgot about the exactly what was that. Let me quickly Google it. Um, OpenAI had launched their API, right? So OpenAI API. Just a moment. This was a very, very interesting thing that happened recently. Um, the 3.0 version, what was the thing about it? So basically what was happening is, using that API you could actually translate anything, like whatever you are seeing, into a really good text, and actually ask the AI to write something for you. You don't need content writers in that way. It was as good as that, right? So there are multiple emerging trends. For example, that was in AI. A lot of things are happening in the world of like machine learning for data science stuff as well. There are multiple things that are happening over there. So if I talk about DevRel perspective, DevOps and automation is something that is very developer relations heavy, and that is where a lot of things are happening. To see every single day a new kind of a platform, a new kind of an automation, a new kind of some new integration or deployment method is coming out, right? So a lot of different things are happening. It's up to you whichever you want to take. If you want to take something that's very experimental, I'll say Web 3 is very experimental and might be something very big. We don't know about it. If you want to play it a bit safe, you can go with any of the other trends. But first, don't jump directly into these things. You need to get your concepts clear first, right? You need to understand how different things work inside of the tech world. If you deep, like deeping dive into the world of AI without knowing anything about those languages which actually support it, how will you able to learn more deeply and grow yourself, right? So I am active on Twitter, LinkedIn, not much on LinkedIn, but Twitter a lot. uh, I run a regular blog as well about developer relations. So you can find that on Medium as well as Dev2. So that is where I'm very active. You can find me on Rocket Chat as well. Is coding required to be a DevRel? Oh, this is a very good question. So if I talk about till now, we have talked about how community is there, right? How the people are investing in the word of community because it is increasing their brand name, and that is where the tech companies are coming in because they want to invest to create their communities. Now, if I talk about the tech world, everyone thinks to get into the tech sector, you need some kind of a very good skill in terms of coding, in terms of like mostly people who dive into all sorts of competitive coding stuff or web development, mobile development, or go into the machine learning, data science route. A lot of things people do. People think about go if they are not good at the typical coding stuff, they go into the world of marketing, SEO, community management as mentioned. But you need to understand, if you are going into a particular field, for example, let's think about mechanical engineering. If you're going into that field where the main industry is around manufacturing things, right, and you don't know anything about how it is done, how will you able to progress in that career? You are good in particular niche of that career, but you don't know the gist of it, of what is going on the behind stuff, right? So if you talk about the job perspective, you have to climb the corporate ladder. So inside of the corporate ladder, they are things where you get stuck after a certain point of time, and it all depends on how the business world treats you, right? How much you know about it, how much can you give as an output. And to actually talk to people, be a manager, you need to know what is going on there within their minds as well, right? You need to manage people in the future. So definitely one of the things, if I talk about typical DevRel has multiple parts. A lot of things might not involve in immediate like coding in like knowledge, but in the long term it is good to have some kind of a background, some at least knowledge, a good amount of knowledge, I'll say, around the word of development in general. So what are the most effective techniques you would employ to grow a organization ecosystem? Okay, so this is like a very broad question. I cannot talk about the specific thing you're talking about over here. um so if you want to grow an organization, in terms of growing the product, there can be things in terms of growing the market, in terms of growing the sales, in terms of growing the community. There are multiple things you can do in every single place, right? If I talk about the word of tech, product is the major thing that is happening. If I talk about typical like big tech, or not big tech actually, big giants actually. So their sales is the major driven market, marketing is for B2C sector. If we talk about community, so for a community, growth is always not the first thing that is in the minds. So there are multiple metrics. Everyone thinks about the metrics in their own terms, what they want to achieve out of the community in the long term, right? So community has a major factor called engagement, right? Engagement is how many people are talking and regularly, like not just the number of people, the ratio of people that are there in your community and the number of people who are actually contributing something. They are talking to each other or in doing anything, right? So I'll talk about the package later. Package does not depend on a particular job, to be very honest. But if I talk about growing the community, you have to think about the metrics. You have to think about, you want engagement or you want just numbers. Numbers is a very good way. Just offer swags. A lot of people will come over and give you the numbers immediately. But if you want to talk about how you would engage them, that's a totally different ballpark. What will you give as a regular like addition to their own being is one of the things you have to think about. What particular community are you targeting, right? If you're targeting student community, what are they looking for from you? From like a community in IIT, like IIT Bombay might be looking something different. Similarly, IIT Kharagpur might be looking something different. But again, a small college in somewhere in UP or somewhere else might be looking totally different, right? Because they have very different environments. So you need to know what kind of a thing are they looking for. Cool. So now coming to the package question, this is like a very interesting question. So packages in India can vary a lot, and actually that depends on your knowledge. A lot of your knowledge will like vary this package accordingly. If I talk about the initial packages of a software developer and a developer relations person, they are similar in terms. Like given that you're not doing a typical community management thing, right? And again, I'm a remote worker. I love the remote working culture as well. And if you work remotely, the packages will be 4 to 5 times or 10 times higher than what you get in India. So those are another aspects you need to think about. So it's not just about the package. I'll tell you very clearly, don't think about the package if you're diving into a career. Like if you want to do marketing, for example, SEO stuff, right? You can go into the growth hacking world and earn so much that you cannot imagine going with a software engineering job. Again, in DevRel, there might be smaller starts, but you can go up to a lot more. If you become like a manager or you become like a director of DevRel or something, you can earn a lot more. If you go into different sectors of software development, there's like a mountain to climb. Sales, every place there's a mountain to climb. So first of all, think what you're good at, or what you can do easily, or what you like to do. Don't think about the package the company is offering first, or this is a place where I can get easy money, because then you will be stuck at a particular point, and then you'll have to pivot. And if you want to pivot, it's again starting from scratch at multiple points in life. So think about it. First of all, understand what is the thing you like, and what are the background, the core things you need to know, right? So yeah, you had a question about your career. Is MBA worth after BTech? Parents are saying you need to do. So again, as I mentioned this to the other person who was asking about the MTech, don't just like uh like you are at a point that where you need to question things. Why is it important, right? MBA is definitely a good option. It's not a bad option. I might be doing it in the future. I'm not doing it currently. You have to think about what it is giving you. If you are getting into the world of software engineering, or if you're getting into the world of community management, you're already in the world of community management. MBA is very much related to that in some sense. Think about, is it giving you the ideal job you want to get? Or maybe if you want to transition into like a higher like level of the same job, is the MBA giving you that route towards it or not? You have to first of all question this thing. Talk to the people who have done it. Talk to the people who are actually doing it or in the similar job spec. To be honest about me, I won't be doing it until the next 3 4 years, because I know at right now I can climb this particular ladder to an extent without having an additional degree, right? When I'll be stuck, because everyone gets stuck after some point in the ladder because of lack of paperwork, obviously these degrees, lack of skills, lack of anything. Lack of skills can be managed, lack of experience can be managed to an extent. But if I lack of paperwork is where I'm getting held up at, I'll be looking towards doing it. So don't just go for this particular thing because it's a buzzword and everyone is doing it. Question whether it is giving you the thing you want to do in the future. Or if you think about the job you're stuck, you can think about it as well at that point. So there are multiple things into this sector. Okay, so I guess there are not many questions now, so I can talk about DevRel again. So I was talking about developer relations, right? So I talked about community management, and I talked about how tech communities are investing here, right? And then I talked about like how developer relations is kind of a community management of the tech world, right? So now, if I talk about developer relations as a whole, there are multiple things. It is called like a very, very diverse job. I run a small page called DevRel.page where we write a lot of blogs and a lot of carousels for you all to actually see. So if you see, it's not just community management, it's around advocacy, evangelism, product engineering, marketing, experience specialization, which is revolves around a lot of content. So there are multiple aspects of it. So for this, you need to understand the organization structure. This is something not a lot of graduates know out of the box, because what is told to you, you will do competitive coding, you will do web development, you will do mobile development, you will contribute to open source, you'll learn this tech, you will learn data science, anything, you'll learn the core aspects of these things and get a job as a software development engineer, get a job as a like some kind of a marketer, or get a job as a community manager, anything from the starting. But you don't know there's a whole organizational structure behind it. There are endless possibilities of what you can do. I'll tell you a very small, typical level organizational structure of like decently good startup. As well as if I talk about big tech, there are so many different things. There are like maybe hundreds of VPs out there, uh, and like they can vary a lot. But if we talk about a structure of a startup, you'll have the CEO at the top, who is a person who has maybe started the company or has a decent kind of an experience. Below him will be a lot of people who are like heading a particular department. So these can be the C-suite people, like the COO, CTO, like MO, COO. Like CEO was, everybody knows about it, executive officer. The C-suite people are marketing officer, operations officer, technical officer, like technology officer, CO, CMO, or LSMS. I guess I've covered it all. So there are multiple specific sectors, right? But now what happens is the CEO mostly directly sees the product as well, right? A lot of times CEO is responsible for the product, or somebody like the head of product would be the responsible person. You have to understand what the product is. Product is different from engineering, right? There's a sales department, maybe controlled by the general manager or the sales lead. There might be a marketing department directly controlled. A lot of different things go around in marketing, from product marketing to lead generation to community, as we were talking, can be a way of marketing as well, can be a way of having people in and around the whole thing as well. If I talk about DevRel is just marketing, I might be a fool talking about it, because it's a lot about product as well. If I talk about a different kind of developer relations, what I'm handling currently, it's not directly handled towards the product side. So we have to think about it in a lot of terms. So marketing, we talked about, there can be multiple things. Sales, we talked about, there can be multiple things. Now technology and product are very similar yet different things. If I talk about a product manager, that is one of the very nice things that you can think about, is a person who directs what the customers or the community needs, and thinks about the sprints. Sprints are like bi-weekly or monthly like times where you can actually develop a particular thing. It's like the agile methodology I'm talking about. So the product manager plans how the product goes to a particular extent, right? And the engineering team of like looking at after that product actually works accordingly. He sets the path of where the things are going. You need to understand that portion. So if I talk about product is responsible for giving all the documentation, giving all the knowledge base, giving everything that a customer might need to get onboarded, to get much more interaction deeper with the side of the like the whole thing, what the whole, again, the product is. He's responsible, he's like the mini CEO of the thing. So again, product is a very similar thing, but now you need guidance on the technology side. Product people do know engineering to an extent. A lot of people from product are like old engineers as well, but the people who are working need to have a different kind of guidance. Here the engineering managers come over who just directly look at the tech. Engineering managers and the product managers are very much in touch while making the sprints, while making the deadlines of everything. So this comes a different side of things, right? Now we were talking about marketing, we were talking about sales. Uh, if I talk about developer relations, when it aligns with marketing, we can have like developer marketing, developer evangelism, right? If it aligns with sales, it's a different kind of devil, which it's similar to a bit of lead generation at times, and it might be interfering with somewhat marketing aspects of it. If it aligns with product, it can be advocacy. Advocacy can be a bit directly involved with marketing again as well, but product engineering, experience specialization, these are the things that are directly product aligned. Now let's think about what are these. If I talk about developer advocacy means you have your community. I am the developer advocate. I'll advocate for the community internally towards the team. Okay, so what the community is saying, I'm hearing that, I'm absorbing that, I'm understanding their concerns, and being an advocate, a typical advocate for them, for my internal company, telling them these are the problems like the community or the people are facing, right? So this is kind of a customer success role in terms as well, keeping the people happy. Customer success is the person that is with the sales team, which is sometimes again similar to DevRel. So those people actually interact with the customers. Here we are interacting with the community, understanding their problems and communicating back into the company so that we can improve our product, improve our communication better to align with them. If I talk about evangelism, it's what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to you all. I'm talking about different things from my side, right? I was initially the evangelism manager, right? So my job was, now it's different a bit. It's more of internal stuff. But initially, was what it was. I was there to actually advocate for the company to the community. It's the other way around, right? I'll talk about Rocket Chat a bit. So, if I talk about advocate, I've told you the people who, like, he's the person, advocate, he or she or they are the person, people who actually like come to the community, understand their pain points, and come back to the company to give back these points. Evangelist is a person who's talking about the product to the community, the other way around. You need to understand this, like inward and outward communication. That's the difference. If I talk about like hackathon, if multiple people you see, those are developer advocates. Those are the people advocating for you, understanding your concerns, and reporting it back to the company, right? Those are the people you want to reach out to if you want to understand the product. Okay, now I'm talking about developer product. This is the B2D sector, business to developer sector. Okay, I'm going a bit high level. So if I talk about, you might have heard about B2B, B2C, right? Business to customer, business to business, B2B, B2C. So these are the places where, like, if I talk about a company, a typical company, maybe a Nirma Sabun thing, like that's like a B2C, right? B2B might be what should I say? Any company that supplies to another company. So I guess in terms, these service sector companies, they have a lot of clients. Those are business clients. So that is kind of a B2B thing, right? But if we talk about B2D developer, you can see a lot of progress going on. Google Cloud Platform, GitHub, AWS, Azure, these are the very famous ones. Postman, if you see the Indian company over there, Twilio, a lot of companies, these are not making something that everyone can use. Only the people like us, the developers, can use. These are the B2D companies. This is where developer relation lies in, because these are the people, like, not, this is not public relations, this is developer relations, a niche we are targeting, right? So we need to understand that. And this is where the developer advocate is needed, developer evangelist is needed. I'll talk about other things, but you have asked me about Rocket Chat. So I've like I'm doing developer relations inside of Rocket.Chat, so there are multiple things. So if I talk about documentation, that is one of the things I'm directly looking forward to and improving it regularly. I'm understanding how the trend of people, how they contribute to open source. Like we have our open source product, we participate actively in Google Summer of Code and all sorts of stuff, and people have issues, people submit pull requests, people do a lot of different things. So I'm analyzing how these people actually do these things and how can I motivate them to be better, right, to actually contribute a lot more. Other than that, there can be like different things that are like, for example, some kind of a event, a hackathon, some kind of like webinar like this one, for example. A lot of different things that actually communicate me to community members that are existing or new and get them to Rocket Chat, for example, right? These are the places I can, and I do work towards. I work towards empowering the internal engineering team because it's developer relations. It's come a lot, like everything is come under that. I'm talking about developer experience plus advocacy plus evangelism. I'm handling a whole bunch of things, right? So now when it comes to the engineering team, the internal developer relations, I'm empowering the our like engineers to write something towards the benefit of the community and their own personal brand. So they are writing blogs about the different experiences they have had. Maybe we were like, I'm just revealing some kind of a spoiler. We were working with the JavaScript or Node.js virtual machine VM module, Node.js VM module, and we had made an apps engine around it. So we were talking about what our experiences have been, what are the different things we can do, and we have done around it. What are the things we have learned along the way, and what we are going to do in the future. These are the content you cannot find generally, right? This is a very specific engineering content that a very high level engineer can write who has some kind of an experience in it. If I talk about SIEM, you can search about this. It's like an elastic cloud offering. We are writing something around that as well. How we came up to the elastic cloud CM, how did we like deploy it over like over Kubernetes and everything. We have to think about those things. So those are the places I'm contribute directly to. So if I talk about my role, it's very diverse because I'm handling too many things, being like the whole umbrella person. If I was like to have like different people, I will have some kind of a experience specialist. That is like, we have our technical writers, so I coordinate with them to write a lot of documentation and everything, so they are there for that. Those are experience specialists directly under the product team. Okay. We have community manager as well. We have my colleague that is a community manager. So he directly handles a lot of community stuff, communicating with people. There, I'm not the person who directly communicates with people. I'm the person who makes strategies around it. So yeah, that was around Rocket Chat. If you want to know more, let me know about it. It's like a very diverse thing I'm talking about. Developer relations are again a very diverse thing. If you want to go deeper, just ask me questions. I'll make sure to actually get it answered. Okay, so talking about MLH coach, is it a good thing to apply? I've personally been an MLH coach, so I would definitely tell you to apply. And it's a very good start for your DevRel career as well if you want to deep dive into it, because you'll not just do evangelism per se, because people tend to write hackathon evangelist for coach. You will have chances to actually go towards writing things, some content around different things they are like contracting with different people, so you'll have different kind of an experience in that term. You'll be advocating for the community for sure. So go ahead, if you want to apply for it, it's a very good thing. And the best part, it's paid. So you're not doing free labor, you're actually getting paid for the things you're doing. So if you get selected, it's like a very good opportunity, right? So I guess we have 20 minutes remaining. Can I have questions that are already there submitted by people?
Yes, definitely, Josh. So just the give me a 1 second. Okay, the one first question is like by the Shrikant. He is asking for the future scope and the pathways for the DevRel.
Right. So if I talk about first of all the future scope, you need to understand that DevRel is still very new. And if I talk about the Indian ecosystem, it's budding. Like in India, even the people who are calling themselves as developer relations people don't know DevRel. They are just doing some kind of a typical developer marketing stuff, all or maybe just lead generation or typical marketing stuff to like towards the developer audience. They don't know much about tech, but calling themselves DevRel. So definitely, a lot of people don't even know about DevRel, to be very honest, right? And this is not something I'll talk and say to everyone, but this is the truth out there. So, Mohit, there's some kind of a disturbance. If you can mute yourself for a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Thank you. So, developer relations is very new. So, if I talk about that, and again, developer products are growing every single day because the developer audience is growing, the number of freelancers are growing. So, this particular sector is not going to die, or maybe it's not even reached its peak right now. So like it's kind of a teaching job for a lot of people in the future as well. If I talk about developer relations in that terms, companies might have direct teachers, educators, right? Those can be the people as well inside of developer relations. A lot of times kind of a developer advocate sometimes becomes a teacher, to be very honest. That's a nice thing to think about. So yeah, this is not going to die. This is a very broad thing. This is a very initial stage thing. You need to know a lot about it. So this is going to stay for a while. Now your pathway. So you can take multiple pathways into it. But I definitely recommend you to have the experience of some kind of a development first. I had i had a decent experience in development. Like I worked as a software developer at some companies beforehand, and I had that kind of experience. If I did not, getting into typical product based developer relations becomes difficult. So like if you want to go towards the community manager path, you can become a nice community manager, a nice marketer, a nice lead gen person. But when it comes to interacting with the product, where the actual growth lies, to be very honest, for me, marketing has a lot of growth as well. Again, it's up to your capabilities as well. What you think is best for you. If I talk about marketing, people go very, very deep into it and very high level into it. For me, the product side was very exciting and I wanted to go towards that. So for me, learning the initial software developer background things was very important. And keeping yourself updated again and again on what are the different trends that are going inside of the world of technology is very important as well. So this is like the initial thing that you need to know. The next thing you need to know is how to handle a ton of people. Like I am live streaming right now. A lot of people might not be interacting, but I'm saying something just to keep everyone some kind of engaged. If everyone is, I don't know, but yeah, I'm trying to do that. And like talking to people, this is one of the biggest things. If you don't know how to talk to people, how will you actually make relationship with them, right? So you need to know about that. You need to know about handling problems with people as well. You need to know maybe event management. You need to know about writing. It depends on the niche you are going towards several in. Experienced specialists need to know about writing, need to know about tech. Community managers need to know about the whole community they are handling, right? Marketers need to know how a different kind of a tweet can get a lot of people to interact with each other or with the company, right? Product engineers need to know how to communicate with the product teams, get their goals aligned with the developer relations teams. So again, internal effective communication. So any part of communication that comes in, plus your background knowledge about a particular thing towards the developer sector, will actually help you move toward this particular path. Again, there's no fixed path to it. I'll say that very clearly. You kind of stumble around the right set of people. You have to write regularly. You have to talk to people regularly. You have to explore and expand your network. Once you do that, you will stumble upon these kind of opportunities, right? So this is a particular thing. There is no set path, but it's about the skills. That's the first thing, and it's about the connections. It's about the communication. So you need to know that. Okay, there's a question. Do I need to work from 8 to 5, or is it up to me to create my schedule? If I talk about my schedule, I go to the gym at 11. I get up at 10 a.m. and I start working maybe at around 4 p.m. or something. Sometimes I feel like working for 3 4 hours. I just stop there. If I want to work more, I can work till 12. After 1 a.m., I generally don't work. Sometimes I do if I want to about a particular thing. It depends on my schedule. Or else I have the time towards like 4 a.m. I sleep at 4 a.m. and then get up at again 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. or something. So it's not 8 to 5 work. For different companies, for different time zones, it up it's up to you. I work directly with the people from Brazil, and their time zone, some of my colleagues are in Europe as well. So I have to keep about their time zones as well. So this evening time works best for me, and I'm a night owl, so it's fine for me. So I work accordingly, and it's not 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or any kind of a schedule. It's up to you. Although it's recommended to have some kind of a schedule, I do because of different things I'm doing. You need to maintain something, and it's not about giving the company your whole time. It's about thinking about how much you need effectively and doing the work you need to do. Okay. Any other question, please?
Yeah, so just there is a one more question which is regarding your previous experience. So Shubham is want to ask you, how are the coaches paid in the MLH coach program, as you were a coach too there?
So I don't know about the latest process, but they were paying very good. They were paying a decent amount for the work you do. I don't know the current rates and everything, so I cannot tell that. But I guess they were directly giving them some kind of like a contract thing. Like I had a contract with them, and according to the work I do, they paid me hourly or even twice. So that is the basic thing they do. And to be honest, for the work they are doing, even when I was getting into the payment was a very new thing for me, because you are doing something that is helping you like towards your career rather than just money. And since they are a US company, they pay handsomely, so don't think about it much. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a one more question by Pragya. How we can say that we are good software engineer or employee?
Okay, that's a good question. So see, being a good software engineer does not mean what you're doing in the current company, if you're reaching the goals or not. It's not about that. A lot of companies can have very small goals and you're able to achieve it. It does not mean you're very good. Although you might be good at your job, it does not mean you're a very good software engineer. Some companies tend to take a lot of your time, and it depends on the manager as well. Don't give you enough credit for it, right? So it does not mean that you are bad software engineer. Again, nobody is a exceptionally good or exceptionally bad software engineer. Nobody has those kind of things or comparison out there. It's about things you know, right? If you know a particular thing, yeah, like don't go into a broader aspect of knowing everything. Like it's fine to know that, but if you go into a particular niche, you don't need to know most of the things, 60, 80, 90% of it. If you're good at doing that, if you're good at telling people what you do and how you do it, you can consider yourself a good software engineer. That's basically it. Just make sure whatever you're doing, you know it, and you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it, you understand it. That's the only thing that is needed. Be it a developer relations person, be it a engineer, be it a community manager, be it anything. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And there one more question by Bharat, who want to ask you what are the some best practices for creating the developer documentation?
Documentation. Okay, that's a very good question. So if I talk about documentation, first of all, you need to understand your product, right? So if I talk about a typical software product, you might have exposed APIs out there which you want to communicate effectively. So you need to create some kind of tutorials around how to use that APIs. But that won't go into the typical API documentation, because developers don't like to read the whole documentation as a like story. right? They might just need, okay, to the point information, this particular thing is doing this. But again, the beginner's guide needs to have something there. So for documentation, first you need to see and reference to other similar products. What are they doing and how they are doing? Some top level documentations as well, how they are structuring the content. So in the documentation, you need to make sure you are not writing a blog. You are writing to the point things. What is relevant, you are just writing that, nothing else. You have to be extremely to the point. You are writing things in a very easy communicative language, not using a lot of different words out there which are not very familiar to people, just to show your vocabulary. It's good to write those things, not even in a blog. It's like very high level things are not exactly required. It's like a book thing you can write there. Inside of a documentation, again, the structuring of everything should be very good. So if I talk about okay, so if I talk about, like, you have a product which has life cycle methods, like that is kind of a theoretical part. It has exposed API endpoints. It's kind of like a typical like a place where you don't need a lot of content, but actually need exact places of how someone needs to execute it, right? There might be things if I talk about the whole process of making and installing that product, that would be another thing. So need to segregate those particular sections like effectively as well. So those are the things you need to keep in mind. So again, every single documentation has its own flavor, so you need to think about first that, think about how people have structured it, follow a similar approach, and then you need to write it. Again, as an experienced specialist, the best thing should be you are like using the open API standards as well. So make sure to you need to see those things as well while creating a documentation as well.
Okay, just there is one more question which we are can going to take. Is it by Vedant? He want to
Mhm.
ask you: Can DevRel relation transition is converted into a ASRI role?
Yeah. So if I want to talk about career transitions, don't be afraid of transitioning into any kind of a career from any place you are in right now. I'm a mechanical engineer. I transitioned into software engineering first, then into developer relations. I don't know what my future beholds, but don't be afraid about, okay, this is the particular field I'm going into, and now I cannot transition into something else. You can always transition. Okay, it might be difficult to actually learn the skill and tell people that you know the skill first, right? But if you can effectively talk about it, people will accept your story. People have to buy your story to actually make sure like you are good enough for it. I know a lot of people. I have talked to a lot of people who might be doing psychology and got into DevRel. There are a lot of people who are doing software engineering who got into DevRel. A lot of people who are doing DevRel got into software engineering, then got into typical marketing, then left everything, became like a CEO or someone, became a product manager. There are multiple routes you can take. So the only thing you need to know is whichever field you are looking yourself to go into in the long term or in the short term as well, just think about the skills you need for that. Okay. At any point you think, okay, this is not where I want my career to grow. Think about the skills again you need to know for the next career you want to grow into. Try to understand and read about it, create content about it, create your brand around it, right? And then it's very easy to transition into those particular things. So it's like a whole gradual process you need to take, and this is one of the most common things I can see in the current scenario as well.
Okay, just we can wrap up the session because there are like
Hmm.
lot of many questions more. But due to the
Hmm.
time constraints, we can take those questions like to email you so that you can answer those, right?
Sure, just send me an
Yeah.
email and I'm happy to answer.
Yes, definitely, Vish. Uh,
Perfect.
okay,
Thanks a lot for
guys.
having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I want to say thank you for being there in whole session. This is like I know you are like able to learn a lot of many things from the judge, and I hope Josh is able to like guide you in a better way today, who asked the questions. And thank you so much, Judge, to you for coming and interactive session with the audience. And this session is like great for me as well, because as a community pupil, I'm also like want to get looking for the job in the DevRel as well. So this will help a lot me as well in future, definitely.
Thanks. Like I'm really glad that it helped you as well.